right, guys, we're doing a test. So just take one and pass it around. It's not that lengthy. And it's really like, we went over about 50 to 70% of it in last week's class. So it shouldn't be too stressful. And this is not something that you're getting necessarily graded on. It's not going to affect anything outside of this class. This is just for me to know if I'm being effective as a teacher in imparting information to you. And I want to see how much we're actually retaining. So put your name on the top, and we're going to go over these questions. Does everybody got one? Everybody good? All right, question 1. What was the approximate age of Timothy the first time he met Paul? Yeah, just write it on your test. I know I didn't give you much space. My bad. Just kind of write it there at the end of the sentence. What was the approximate age? So approximate, there's a range there that any answer within that range would be acceptable. Okay? Question 2, what was the relationship between Paul and Timothy? I can tell some of y'all thrive on tests. You do well under pressure, Apostle Mark. He gets this excited look on his face when there's like pressure. He's like, yes, it's time to shine. So that's where we differ. Okay, question 3. How old was Timothy at the time 1 Timothy was written? Approximately. So again, there's an age range here. Any answer within that range would be acceptable. Was approximate age of Timothy at the time 1 Timothy was written to him? 4. What church was Timothy sent to pastor? 5. What was the main problem that Timothy must immediately address in that church? What was the main issue that he immediately has got to address? Am I going too fast or are y'all good? Good? Six, list 2 of the resulting issues that likely stemmed from that main problem. There were multiple things that Paul discussed in 1 Timothy, multiple issues. So any 2 of those that likely resulted as the outcome of the first main issue that immediately had to be addressed. Question 7. The first verses of chapter 2, Paul is giving exhortation to establish what? First few verses of chapter 2. Eight. In which chapter of 1 Timothy gives the list of qualifications for an overseer? Thankfully, there's not that many chapters in 1 Timothy. So. 9. Where else in the Bible does Jesus address the same church, and what was the specific fault that he found in them? Jesus himself addresses this church. It's likely that what was being taught in the church was the early stages of what religious heresy? If you don't know how to spell it, it's okay. Just take a wing at it. I'm not sure how to spell it either. I had to throw a few slightly difficult ones in there for y'all. What religious heresy was likely... the early stages of what religious heresy was likely what was being taught in that church. 11. Paul expressly tells Timothy in chapter 4 not to let anyone despise his youth, but to be an example to the believers in what 6 ways? Dun, dun, dun. And let no one despise you of your youth, but be an example to all believers in what, and what. Just as many as you can think of. 6 ways that Paul gave Timothy to be an example to believers. Y'all good? All right. Bonus question. Do you have any cash? Yeah. Got like a 20? I think I might have a 20 in my purse. Hold on. I want to have some incentive for this bonus question. Dun, dun, dun. The bonus question is, list all the qualifications of a bishop. And FYI, there's 16. Whoever gets the closest, let me see if I have anything to give you. I got 20. Whoever gets the closest to listing all 16 qualifications of an overseer. 16 qualities. The question where Paul said, let no man despise you of your youth, he's urging Timothy to be an example in conduct. But I'm not going to tell you the chapter because I haven't pulled up your test yet. But there's a chapter that lists all the qualifications of a bishop or an overseer. So it's in the chapter, verses 1 through 7. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Just start writing them down. What do you think the qualifications were? Anybody remember any of those? Do you remember them? That's a lot. I know. I started counting it. Yes. Be this, not that. Each one would be like 2. Does that make sense? I'll give y'all some time to work on this one. I'm going to tell you that I don't think I could list all 16. Maybe I could. But when I check your answers, I'm going to use my Bible because I'm... Oh, we know you're not allowed to use your Bible. Chad's finished. He's checking his answers. You haven't been in all the classes, I don't think. Anybody got more than 7? Because if my husband gets this, I'm keeping the money for myself. Because we're married, babe. What's yours is mine, right? Mine is yours. We're going to TGI Fridays. That's what I would do. If you don't know, then just start throwing in qualities that you think might possibly be good for a bishop, and you're likely to hit a few of them, right? Are you counting them? How many did you count? Hold on now. I'm counting 16. No, never mind. We'll figure it out in a minute.
What translation are you?
New King James.
It's really not.
I'm just waiting, making sure everybody's had. Is everybody good? All right. I'm going to read them. Well, let's just start from the top of the page, okay? We'll save the money question for last, even though y'all are chomping at the bit. Give me that $20. How many on the overseer question did y'all get? I'm just curious. 7?
I got 6.
10? 9? All right, this will be fun. Suspicious. There was a lot of whispering going on in this corner. I think they was helping each other. Like, hey, if you win, I'll take you out to lunch. Okay, let's just start at question 1. If you get it wrong, just mark it, and then at the end, just write on the top of the page next to your name how many wrong answers you had, okay? The approximate age of Timothy the first time you met Paul, approximately 16. But if you wrote teenager, then that's acceptable also, because they're not sure. He was a teen in his teens. Okay? What was the relationship between Paul and Timothy? Paul referred to Timothy in chapter 1 as my true spiritual son. Spiritual father, spiritual son relationship. True spiritual son. Huh? Mentor is also acceptable, yeah. How old was Timothy at the time 1 Timothy was written? Approximately mid-30s. 30 to 35. 33 to 35 is what they speculate. So he was definitely young, but also not a kid, which some people, I think, when they think of Timothy, they think of like a kid. He's not a kid. Well, maybe by some people's standards. What church was Timothy sent to pastor? Say it. Very good, Ephesus. What was the main problem that Timothy must immediately address? False teaching. Good. False doctrines, false teaching, either one is fine. What are two of the resulting issues that stemmed from the false teaching? I'm going to list them off to you. If you got any of these two, then you're good. Worship had become more of a fashion show than worship. There was useless debates and arguments about theology. Women were usurping, I just like that King James word, usurping authority. They were taking positions they hadn't been given. The church's care of widows was addressed. Bad theology as far as the theology of not being allowed to eat food or not being allowed to marry. And also the issue of how the church is seen to the outside, or the witness, the reputation of the church. Sir? Yeah, that comes in with useless debates. So arguments, dissensions, cliques going on in the church, all those are the offshoots of this false teachings. Where's my test? The first verses of chapter 2, Paul is giving exhortation about what? Do you know it? Huh? Prayer. He says, therefore I urge you, meaning in light of all of these things that are going on, and what I've sent you here to do, this is the first, basically, after addressing false teaching, this is the first instruction that Paul gives Timothy, is to establish corporate prayer. And that prayer was to be made, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks for all men, and praying specifically for believers and all who are in authority. And then that's when, after that, he moves into how he wants the men to be able to raise their hands and pray together without bickering and fighting, and for people to be able to worship without women prancing around making it into a runway show. Praise the Lord. What chapter gives the qualifications of an overseer? Chapter 3. Where else does Jesus address the same church, and what was the fault he found in them? Revelations. What chapter in Revelations? It's 2. If you put Revelations, though, I can accept that. But it's Revelations chapter 2, and the issue was they had left their first love. That's going to be important to remember when we're reading 2 Timothy. It's likely that what was being taught in the false teaching that was being taught was the early stages of Gnosticism. Gnosticism, which starts with a G, strangely. Gnosticism. Does anybody remember what some of the elements of Gnosticism was and still is? It's still being taught. You got it? Oh, here.
Gnosticism is the love and teaching of knowledge. So that way they felt that as if they could gain all the knowledge, they could be smarter than God.
Right. Basically the pursuit of knowledge over the pursuit of God. And it downplays the supremacy of Jesus, meaning if you can obtain enough revelation, you can find your own way to God. Did you have your hand up, Ron? No? Yeah, okay. Paul tells Timothy in chapter 4 not to let anyone despise his youth, but to be an example to the believers in these 6 ways: in word, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. In spirit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spirit and in purity. Where's my Bible? Make sure I'm not telling y'all something that's false. Y'all burn me at the stake for being a false teacher. 4:12. All right. He says, oh, I'm in the wrong chapter. Be an example to the believers in word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in faith, and in purity. Word, conduct, love, spirit, faith, and purity. So for all of you that are young believers or young in age, that doesn't disqualify you from being able to lead people, and that doesn't make you less of a leader, but it does mean that because of your age or inexperience or a combination of both, you are going to have to try extra hard to be an example in those 6 ways. Otherwise, people will despise you because of your youth. You're just a kid, just irresponsible, immature, always popping off at the mouth, whatever. So I feel like those of us that are younger in the faith and younger in age, you see how I just added myself in there? Those of us who are younger in age, we got to try extra hard though, in a sense. And I guess maybe this is maybe works, but I'm just talking about take heed to yourself that everything that you're doing is setting an example to the believers. Okay. So, but it's not old either. I'm just like in the peak, in the prime. Woo! All right, everybody go to 1 Timothy chapter 3. Let's read the qualifications of a bishop or an overseer. Man. And read over what you've got on your page so you can see what you've got and what you don't got. Bishop must be blameless. Blameless. Next quality, the husband of one wife. Praise the Lord. Temperate. Sober-minded. Of good behavior. Hospitable. Able to teach. Not given to wine. Next one, not violent. Next one, not greedy for money. Gentle. Next one, not quarrelsome. Next one, not covetousness. Next one who rules his own house well, keeping his children in submission with reverence. Next one, not a novice. And the last one must have a good testimony among those who are outside. Being of good reputation, having a good testimony with those who are not believers. How many did you get? 10? Come on.
Temperate, not violent, one wife, good teacher, not given to wine, good character, which is good testimony, well-mannered kids, not quarrelsome, and not greedy for money.
Well done. Anybody have more than 10?
They're good character. That's a good testimony. That's your testimony.
That's the Passion Translation.
The message. Anybody get more than 10? Man, I'm impressed still. Pastor Adam wins the $20. Now you're going to have to take whoever was whispering in your ear to lunch. No, just kidding. All right. I wasn't going to get into 2 Timothy today. I was just going to test y'all and then release you because I don't want to overdo you. So next week, we're going to be going over the book of 2 Timothy, which is 4 chapters. So I need you to read those 4 chapters. If you've not started already, start. And we're going to go over 2 Timothy next Tuesday. I think the week after that is Thanksgiving week. Am I right?
Yeah.
I might try to hit Titus that Tuesday, but we may not. If that's the case, then we'll have to wait till next semester to start Titus. But definitely read 2 Timothy chapters 1 through 4. Okay? Questions or comments? Just on your way out, just bring them up to me so I can see how well I'm teaching y'all and if you're getting anything.
But I got $20. Come on. Who can tell us Enoch's father?
$20
Leonard.
for Enoch's father.
Chris and Nate can't answer. Enoch's father. Leonard. I missed it. I missed it.
I can't. I don't know.
Chris, who is it? Jared.
Jared. I'm about to. Can we get a fact checker? Somebody check that. All right, guys, you're good to go.